Hello everyone. My name is Ben, and we are doing the IPBA Season 13 Draft Podcast. I am joined by Omega
What's up? What's up?
and Burn.
Hello.
Hello. Okay, so we're just gonna get started. We're gonna go from left to right in the dock, so arbitrary order. Starting with Cowie's draft. So who wants to start off with Cowie's draft? I guess I will.
I really like his team. I have it ranked high.
Yeah, so I mean, his speed is at least his high speed is good, but is clustered. Like he's got 145, 143 with Zero Aura and Mega Beedrill, and then he drops all the way down to 110 and 108 speed. But it is good speed, even though it's clustered. The biggest thing with Cowie's draft that I found was that he has poor removal. You don't really have to run defog on Latios every single week. Like Latios is versatile enough that you want to be able to bring other sets. And that's pretty much his own. That is his only defogger. I don't count Mega Beedrill at all.
And with a team that has Mega B, and that's going to be with offense reliant on Mega B, only having Latios as a defogger is really just going to cripple his momentum entirely, especially because he is relying on Mega B for momentum. That's basically his only momentum option other than Zero Aura.
I mean, to be fair, he isn't really hazard weak besides Mega Beedrill, actually Magmortar too, but I don't know, removal is still important to have, even if it's not the best option.
He's got good hazards.
Ladio, yeah, and also he only has defog and he has good hazards. So.
I like his defensive options to protect Celesteela. He has two electric.
Yeah, he's got good bulk.
He's got Seismitoad for the immunity, and he's got Zero Aura for the immunity, offensive immunity, and Umbreon.
Yeah, I mean his offense and defense is just good overall. He's got offensive options, defensive options. It's a solid draft in that aspect.
I really like Kofag with Umbreon.
Chestnut and Cofagrigus just being a pain to break through, especially with Whiff Pass.
It is a pain, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, his defense is a little
the Umbreon is the heal beller for them too. You can't really burn Celesteela with the heal beller.
Steel and Magmortar are good Z users. He has that going.
His only electric weakness is Celesteela, I think. Which is really good.
Yeah, his defense is a little bit passive as well. Like Umbreon and Kofag. It's not.
At least Umbreon has Baton Pass and Kofag can set up, so it's not too bad.
I don't like how Grand Bolt is his fairy. I just it. To me, that's just not really a good thing. It's not really a fairy. I don't think it's a very good fairy, and so it kind of just weakens his fairy dragons. You have Celesteela and Latios, which seems really promising.
Yeah.
And then there's just a Grand Bolt right there, which isn't horrible, but it's not really what you want.
That's a good point.
Terrakion is super threatening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
he also only has 2 pivots, so not ideal. Although
I think with 3, if you count Umbreon with Baton Pass.
I guess you don't normally run Baton Pass Umbreon though.
He's got if you have no pivots, you need to have good defense, and he has good defense.
Yeah, no, he does. Good offense, good defense in general. And yeah, good clerics.
Good cleric, but he also, one problem is that Magmortar is his only ice resist. Obviously a lot of teams are ice weak, but having Magmortar as your only ice resist just means you get spammed by
To be fair, Celesteela and Umbreon can take ice hits all day. It's not like Celesteela is threatened by Mammoth Iso Crash or anything.
Kinda.
It's not a resist. You don't want to have a team
it's not resist, but it's Celesteela's
Magmortar ice resist.
No, it is an ice resist. It is a little bit of a concern, but again, any team is gonna have 1 or 2 type weaknesses, so it's not a huge issue.
Having 1 electric weak and 2 fire weak with the heal beller is really good for Cell.
Oh, and here's also something we didn't mention that's kind of big, is he doesn't have any priority moves. He has quick attack Terrakion, and that's it.
Oh yeah, he doesn't have priority.
At all. So
that's kind of a fast Pokemon.
Well, a little bit, but you can still outspeed Zero Aura and Mega Beedrill with a Scarfer, you know. So.
Yeah. That's a problem.
Should we move on?
Yeah. So I was just gonna say the two.
Say.
Yeah, the 2 biggest things for me is the really bad removal and then the priority. So I gave him an 8 though. It's still, like I said, pretty good overall.
I have Kawi at 7.
I gave him a
Mid
9.
tier.
So all of us are different.
And
Little bit, yeah,
Cowie
variation.
gave himself a 8 as well, so he averaged
Yeah.
to an 8.
Which is pretty good average, all things considered. Yeah.
It's good
Yep.
average. Top 5.
Yeah, top 5 draft, barely.
Hey,
Alright, moving on
Josh.
to Josh's draft.
This is
Anyone
a really
wants to-
good one, I gotta say.
Yeah.
He's got
His,
good Fairy Dragon Steel.
yeah, obviously, his hazard setting options are like really, really good. There's a ton of rockers as well as spikes and T-spikes.
What happened? What's happened?
Yeah, his removal is fine. Or sorry,
It's not
no.
the best, but
No,
it's
no,
not
no,
the
I
best,
was-
but
sorry,
he
I
has
was saying-
like a crap load of hazards.
I was trying to say his hazards are good, but his removal is not the best, and he only has defog. I mean, like,
kind of a speed gap with 103 to 85.
yeah. But again, on the removal, like, you don't want to have to run defog on Latios every single week, and like, Decidueye isn't going to come every week, and even then, you don't want to run defog on it. So his removal is like pretty bad. Maybe just as bad as Cowie's.
It'll be a hazard war, but he probably will win the hazard war. He has so much hazards.
Yeah.
It's super versatile. Choose whatever set he wants.
Yep, I like his offense and like his offense is just really balanced. He's got a little bit of speed. He's got power from both sides. For a second, I thought when he first drafted that he wasn't gonna have any physical attackers, but he really shored that up well with Diggersby and then Heracross later on. So that was good.
Oh yeah, and he's Courseable, right? Of course.
He has good Scald switch-ins.
Yep.
That's good.
He has good priority actually with Diggersby and Greninja, and
He's a little
also
bit
Power
ground
Swine.
weak.
Yeah. He has a slight grass weakness, which is a little bit weird of a type to be weak to.
I mean, not really. Like he's got a fair
I was
number of
saying he has a
resistances
ground
by
weakness.
comparison to grass. Like he's got a fair number of resistances.
I don't know. Grass is a little bit spammable.
Look at Heatran, you look at Megaladios,
But just like as a coverage
Decidueye,
move, I
Heracross,
guess.
and Nihilego.
Like grass is a really good coverage move against him. You know.
But if you can use Earthquake on him, definitely.
What else? Good clerics. Yeah, Burn talked about his speed
he's-
gap a little bit.
Good momentum and pivots actually between Diggersby, Greninja with like U-turn and Lantern as well.
Yeah.
Does Decidueye get U-turn or no?
Yeah, Decidueye gets U-turn.
Oh, so
Oh,
he's
okay.
actually got 4 pivots. That's pretty good.
He's got good sweepers. He's got good setup.
Wall breakers.
Yeah.
Just the offense is good and bulk as well. Like it's a
I
well-rounded
actually don't
good
think
team.
the defense is very good. Like he's got Clefable and then Heatran a little bit. He doesn't have a good physical wall at all. Yeah, I think the
Things will
defense is a
take
little bit
hits.
That's
Maybe
what
not
I was.
physical
That's
wall,
what I
but-
was saying. If you get hit by like a spammable ground user like Garchomp, and he won't have a physical to take it.
Yeah, definitely. Like I guess Piloswine maybe, but when your best physical defensive option is Piloswine, it's not ideal.
Yeah, because a lot of physical monsters run fight.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's all on Josh. Overall, his offense is just really good. I gave him an 8.5.
I also have him 8.5.
I have him 8.5 too.
And
I
Cowie
think
has
the
him at
overall
8.5.
ranking was
8.5.
something high, but
It's 8.5.
We all
Everyone
have
gave him
8.5?
8.5.
oh, we all did.
Okay.
Yep.
This is the second best draft.
Yeah.
All right, Ben's draft.
Someone else start with my draft.
It's really good. That's very descriptive, but it's a really good offensive Fairy Dragon Steel core, as well as you have a regen core, which is like a pain to kill, and it's like extremely complete.
It's like It's like everything you want in a draft. You have good hazards, good removal. You have
Yeah,
not the best.
a lot of good
character.
momentum and pivots.
That's the
between
only. That's the
20,
only bad
Scizor,
thing.
Rotoheat, Persian, like pivots are right there, and it's
Yeah, that's
extremely
like
good.
kind of the story with my draft that I wanted to focus on was regen mons and pivot.
The only bad thing about regen cores is they get worn down by toxic, and you only have Mega DNC as a heal builder.
Yeah, I could have had a better cleric. That's definitely
Yeah.
a small thing.
I guess that's
like-
no problem, but you still have good reliable recovery with your walls like Tangrowth, Pax, Scizor, they all get reliable
Rotom.
recovery.
Yep.
Yeah. Even Torn's really bulky. Like Torn can be used as a bulky pivot all the time.
Even if Torn, if really good Z users, Torn T and Persian are both like really, really good Z users.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of why I drafted Persian, is because I knew I could see it.
There's a little speed gap between 110 and 86, I
Yeah,
believe.
that's probably the biggest thing with this
Yeah.
draft is I don't like that speed gap. But I do
I
have
don't.
4 Mons at 110 or above, so it's like
That's
I mean,
yeah, it's good speed there.
like I could have tried to fill the speed gap, or I could have just tried to get like faster Mons in the end. So
It's
good
fine
setup.
with me. I don't care about
A lot
speed
of good
gaps so
setup and
much.
wall breakers, which obviously, and I don't know if we mentioned it, but you have good hazards and good hazard removal.
Yeah, I said that. Also his 1 point mon is Duosion, which is amazing because Duosion should be like 3, honestly. Duosion's really good.
and then the only type weakness I found was a slight rocks weakness. I have 2 weak and 1 resist.
Yeah, rocks could be kind of an issue. Problem I have personally is that your like defensive backbone, which is Tang and Pex, is pretty much passive. Like that, is kind of predictable.
I mean, I definitely agree that that Pex is passive. I don't think Tangrowth is very passive at all. Honestly, it's got like I think
I mean,
110.
are you really gonna run offensive Tangrowth?
Well, I mean, a lot of times it runs Assault Vest with like really good coverage moves. Yeah, it's got 110 special attack, 100 attack, and like it has a lot of good coverage options. So I don't really think Tangrowth is passive.
Usually your regen cores are weak to, so good, but there's a good thing that you have Torn T, who's really fast, but you're also weak to setup a little bit.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
just because Toxic Felix has haze doesn't mean that you're gonna get subbed on and SD'd on. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But I still have you as the best team.
Yeah.
Yeah. I give myself
Like,
a
it
9.5.
Clearly, the consensus for best team.
I gave you a 9. Everybody else gave you a 9.5.
Give him a 9. But
Yeah, Burn gave me.
You're
still the best team
I
for me.
averaged 9.25. So. Okay, let us move on to
Drek.
Drek's draft. Let me pull my notes.
That's
for
cool. Fun.
I mean, if you don't count Whimsicott for speed, his speed isn't that good. Like 150, and then it drops all the way down to 108, 100.
Why wouldn't you count Whimsicott?
Because Whimsicott isn't an offensive mon. It's just like
And
support.
there's also a speed gap from 95 to 60, which means basically anything speed about 75 to 95 is running Adamant or Modest.
Yeah, that is a big deal.
His priority is not good at all. Like, there really isn't priority on this team for with the speed gaps that he has.
I don't think there is, yeah. Oh, unless you count Whimsicott's Prankster.
Yeah, there's like quick attack 9-tails, but that doesn't count.
Yeah.
But like, Whimsicott's really good at deterring like setup though.
Yeah, Whimsicott's really useful. It's a
So
good
you can Prankster
support
Hammer.
mon for this team. And I actually really like the FDS core here, as well as the Firewater Grass core.
I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I'm not a fan of Whimsicott really, so.
I like Kieran Black with
Very
Mana Feed because
intense.
complement each other decently, but he doesn't
Yeah.
have like the best ground mon.
I'll say, at least for me personally, I
Or
think
does
the
he even have a
breakers,
ground mon? Yeah, he doesn't. have a
Wait, he doesn't have a ground? Oh my god, I didn't
Yeah.
notice
did
that.
not notice. He doesn't even. I didn't even notice
Whoa,
that. That's
I did not
really
notice
bad.
that either. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
gonna...
there's no electric immunity. Yeah, that I should have like removed an extra
Yeah,
point from
okay,
this.
I think we're gonna have to remove or tear him down a little bit.
I don't know how I didn't know. I don't know how I didn't notice that.
Okay,
Well, the
so...
first thing I look for with Kirim is do you have a fighting and a ground to complement what walls Kirim?
Yeah.
But he only has Kabalion and no ground.
No ground type definitely sucks. I also don't like the 9-tails or Aggron picks. Aggron I think is just weird. And on
9-tails is really weird.
is a decent fire. There's no sun. If he had like Weeping Bell, I'd even be okay with it.
Yeah, I don't get the sun at all.
Like, there could have just been a better fire type. Sun doesn't help the team. Like, Solar Beam...
It actually hurts him because he's got a fire weakness with his sun. You know?
I think that's Silvally.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
Silvally
that's
ground.
actually right, yeah.
But are you running Silvally ground every week?
There's no way he's running Silvally ground. That's not a stat.
Is that, like, yeah, that's huge. I didn't notice that. That's a problem.
Yeah, he's ground weak. I don't really like his defense.
Passive. like
It's-
P2
yeah,
Yuxi,
passive
that's
and-
like the defensive core there, and it's passive.
very knockoff weak.
It's gonna be really bad because if you scarf a Volt Switcher, it'll sometimes outspeed Mega Aerodactyl and Manaphy, and then the Kyurem can get hit in by some powerful fighting types that every other team has.
I will say he's got good removal, and I like his pivots a lot with Silvally, Whimsicott, Cobalion. They're all good pivots.
Uxie also.
Yeah, Uxie as well.
But yeah,
He's really
the
good
knockoff
pivots.
weak. His removal
That is
is
weak.
not good either.
There
He's
really
got,
aren't any clerics in this team.
like,
I think his removal is
Uxie.
decent. I like his removal with Silvally and Cobalion, well, not Cobalion, Whimsicott.
He has Uxie as a
I
cleric.
think they're solid removers.
it could be better. I mean, it's not so bad, but it could be better.
It definitely could be better.
Yeah, he's got only rocks for hazards. I think Omega
I mean,
mentioned his fighting
that's not really
weakness.
a bad thing.
It is when you have a Kyurem Black on your team.
And I also noticed
They
he
wanna wear
does not
down
have a
everything.
grounded poison either.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's true.
We are slipping. So I regret taking this. I give this team a 6.5. I kind of wish I gave it like a 5.
So I'm actually gonna change mine to 5.5.
Who's this Drek?
Drek, yeah.
I mean,
I'm
gonna change him from an 8 to
you
probably
had him at an,
6.5 or
8. Really?
Yeah, well now I don't.
I am at a 6.5. I'm moving that down to a 5. I mean,
Uh,
can't really
I'm
change it now, but
I'm gonna
I'd
say
give him
6.5 for Drek for me.
Yeah, I'm
that-
changing it to
not,
5.5.
you know, that 2 key aspects that just didn't even notice that's going to be really problematic.
I have him at a 6.5 still because at least he has power still.
Power,
Kind of.
Power.
but not really. I mean, Kieran Black is a good breaker, but beyond Kieran Black, there's not much
Even if he's a
in
good
terms of
setup
breakers.
on, and like P2 and
Not if he could set up, but you know, we're talking pure wall breakers. There's not much beyond Kieran Black. Like Arrow's not really a breaker; it's more of a setup sweeper. Like it's
Just
cleaner,
a
it's
bench
not.
killer.
They aren't the best for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I gave Drek a 5.5. Now, Fern, you're giving him what, a 5? You said?
Yeah, I'm giving him a 5.
Okay, and then
Okay,
Omega.
I just saw the Ninetales again, so I'm slipping it down to a 6.
Okay, and then Cowie gave him a 7 as well. So.
Yeah.
All right,
I-
we'll have
I
to change his
probably-
Yeah,
average.
the new average is now a 6
Yeah,
for
so-
Draco. So
Howie would
that's
probably
huge.
put it down to.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Yep.
Whatever. He's still low in the averages, even at 7. Like he's still 5th lowest, and I wouldn't move him below any of the current bottom 4. So it's not a huge deal.
Okay, next team.
Yep. Next team is Noob's team. I like Noob's team overall. He's got. Sorry, let me pull up my notes again. His speed is like maybe the best out of any draft. It's insane.
It definitely is.
He's
Yeah,
got
very good high
150,
tier speed.
130, 123, 115, 108, and then he drops to 91. That's insane. That's so
Yeah,
good.
but after the 91, it's a 60, which it's
Well, that's
kind of
understandable
vulnerable there.
because half of his mons are like 100 and above. So.
Yeah, but it means
know?
everything is very fast or just very slow,
But like if you're.
which can be easy to exploit when you think about it.
But like even if you like exploit that and like have a base 70 mon that runs Adamant or whatever, like you're still being outslowed by half his team.
Yeah,
More than
that's
half
true.
his team. So like I don't think
Yeah.
the speed gap is a big deal at all. Like that's
Not
just
even Trick Room is that good against him because he has the Amoonguss and the Snorlax.
Yeah.
Well, Amoonguss really you don't need much for Trick Room, but Snorlax.
No, I
sure,
mean like
yeah.
just spore things that are threatening in Trick Room.
I do like the Fire Dragon Steel and Firewater Grass cores, but I think the removal and hazard setting with this team are kind of not that great.
No, they're not. And especially with Empoleon probably being brought every week.
And you're gonna rely on Empoleon for
Yeah.
removal and probably hazards.
And
Beyond
hazard
Empoleon for
and
rocks,
Slug
like you don't really want to run rocks Lando T. And
Yeah.
let's be real, you're not bringing March Tomp ever unless for a meme. So, like rocks and removal are really just totally on Empoleon.
Yeah, that really
Which-
sucks. Apollion's super pressured. Feels like Apollion's always pressured on any draft it gets
Oh
on.
wow! All right, we skipped Jordan, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
We'll go
we'll
back.
come back to
We'll
Jordan.
go back to Jordan. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's fine.
otherwise with Noob,
Sorry, Jordan.
well, okay, Noob always wants to know how much power he has. He has 2 power mons, so it's decent. His first 2 mons. But And I guess Sylveon's like borderline, maybe.
I understand why you would Z Lando, but wouldn't it be better to Z Infernape and Noivern because they're both
Yeah,
really good
I
Z
agree.
moves?
Yeah, they're definitely good. I mean,
Because
Z
Lando's gonna
Lando
be
is important,
defensive
but they
on his
are
team.
good Z choices. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
that's what
I
I was
don't
gonna
think he's
say.
gonna run defensive Lando, but
But
otherwise,
he doesn't have a physical wall. Like what?
yeah,
Like what
there's
happens when he
just
needs
no
to?
physical defense
Like how
on
does he
this team at
wall like
all.
a Mega Charizard X? You know, he has to
I
bring
mean,
like
yeah,
defensive Lando.
at best you're running physically defensive Amoonguss, physically defensive Empoleon, with
Yeah,
like
that's
and
not good.
Sylveon. They run physical defense investment, but they're not going to be bulky.
Yeah.
In terms of physical defense.
A lot of
So I
fighting
think
mons
I
have
think half
Ice
the
Punch,
time,
too.
especially knowing Noob's playstyle, like at least half the time Lando T is going to be defensive. So I think he would be better off seeing Infernape and Noivern for that reason, just knowing Lando T is going to have to be defensive. With
Also,
his moves.
some fighting mons. He's really weak to fighting Ice Punch and like Poison Jab. Those combinations, which fighting mons usually
Yeah.
have Ice Punch and Poison.
Yeah, I mean he's got two
He does
4x
have some
ice
good fighting
weakness.
resistances, like
Because
a
he has
good
Lax
number
and
of them.
Empoleon, which is what he's really relying on Empoleon here. But and then he's gonna rely on the Amoonguss, but they usually have Ice Punch anyway. And then the Lando will
I'll say he's got great momentum when you think like
Yeah,
he's got
lots of
regen
pivots.
Amoonguss, U-turn Lando T, U-turn Infernape, Baton Pass Sylveon, Volt Switch Jolteon, ton of good
Yeah,
momentum.
it's a offensive team needs hit momentum, so that's good.
I will say this is kind of petty, but I don't like the double evolution. I don't like that synergy there. I don't.
Eh,
They do different things, so
fine.
Personal petty thing for me.
And like his, oh, we already talked about his removal. Okay. Yeah, two 4x ice weaknesses isn't great either. Cause like when you draft Lando T, like you really gotta protect against ice, cause you know like half of your opponent's Pokemon are gonna be having ice.
He does have a
coverage.
good number of ice resistances. Snorlax is a really good one for in terms of HP ice.
Yeah.
Just eating HP ices all the time.
well, he
and
has
with
thick fast, so
Empoleon.
you can just get Ice Beam anyways.
But
Yeah,
it's just like the prep for Noivern and Lando T is exactly the same, you know, just for
Yeah.
ice coverage.
yeah, that's true. So I give him a 7, which because I'm just not a huge fan of the draft, but I know you guys give him a higher ranking.
Yeah, I mean I really like speed, so I gave him an 8.5. Speed is insane, and his pivots are good too.
Yeah, Carly also gave him an 8.5.
I give him an 8.5 too.
Yeah, so I was just the outlier. I don't think Steve is that good.
That's fine. I'm an outlier on some things too.
Okay. Let's
so
go back to
Jordan.
Yep.
Jordan. Sorry, Jordan. We skipped Jordan. So Jordan's team is pretty interesting. Like in terms of speed, he's got 5 mons that are all at 100 plus, but then it caps at Blacephalon.
Yeah,
So
107.
you have
That's
this
terrible.
cluster of 5, 100, 107.
It's really
Like
slow.
for
And
reference,
that's the
Noob has
anything
5.
125 or higher is now running and modest
Yeah.
on you, which is going to be a huge problem.
Yeah, and like for reference, like Noob has 5 things that outspeed Jordan's highest Pokemon. That's so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
That's like a
105 high is
big
really
flaw.
bad, even though he has like 107, 105, 102, and then 2 100s. But yeah, just he needs
will
to get
say-
higher speed.
When you look at 107 down, his speed tiers are really good. There's like no gaps in his
Yeah.
speed tiers that you can exploit.
When you run Mega Medi, like you really want to run speed to back it up, but there's nothing really to
What
switch
I'm going to say
in.
about Mega Medi
or Mega
is
Medi
that
Jam.
I don't know if Zoroark gets Pursuit, but even if it does, there's no real good Pursuit mon on this team.
It
And I
does
think
get
that with a
pursued.
team Mega Medi, you want a better Pursuit. Like, are you really going to Pursuit Zoroark very often? Probably not.
No, not really.
There's like I think there were better Pursuit options that would have made this
That's
team
Yeah,
definitely
that's a
better.
good point. I didn't notice that. Yeah, definitely could have a better Pursuit Mon.
And Blacephalon is one-dimensional, so
Yeah, but Blacephalon can definitely be one-dimensional.
I don't like his defense, especially on the physical side. Again, same thing with Noob. What's his answer to like
Yeah,
a Mega
his
Charizard
physical
X or
bulk
like
is limited, and
just
it's
a
somewhat
strong
passive.
physical
Like
attacker?
Florges and Vaporeon, not only do they kind of fill similar roles in terms of being, bulky, rich clerics, but they're both kind of passive to some extent. Like they hit hard, but they're not, they're not versatile offensively.
I think the Kabutops could also be maybe a Sticky Webber to help with his speed.
Yeah. let's see
He already
that.
has a
Oh, yeah, Jordan, you
Vaporeon.
can talk about your team if you want.
I mean, he's got decent hazards, good rockers. Like,
At least his team hits hard.
yeah.
Yeah, he's got good wall breakers, good setup as well. And I like the momentum with this team with a lot of good pivots, even Metachan with Baton Pass, but you've got Vaporeon with Wish Pass, Zoroark, it's U-turn, Rotomoa and Staraptor both get pivots. They're both good pivots.
But you're not gonna be finding yourself hitting anything if you're just slow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And even with this slow team, there's really not much priority. I mean, you get a couple quick attack sucker punch mons, but there's not much for priority.
I think his priorities are right. He's got like Mega Medicham, which can double priority.
But you don't really
Star
want
Raptor,
to
Zoroark, Sucker Punch.
Mega Medi all the time.
His priority's average. Maybe even better than average. I think that is it for Jordan, unless he wants to talk about his own draft.
And Kabu talks about that without weather. So I guess if Jordan doesn't want to talk about his draft, I gave Jordan a 7.5.
Yeah, I gave Jordan a 7, just because the speed and the physical defense.
I gave Jordan a 7 too.
What did Cowie give Jordan? Gave him a 8, so he's averaging a 7.375. Okay.
Not bad. All right, who is next? Let's not skip anyone this time.
Burns' team.
Oh, it's my team. All right, so I'll shut up for a bit. Go talk about my team.
Yes. So speed is good. Like really good. You only have 2 power mons, which I guess is fine. But not the best. Overall your defense is kind of shaky. It's like, I don't know. I think it might work out, but it's just like weird defensive mons.
Yeah, there's not much. I don't have much like pure bulk, like in terms of just mons that are walls. I mean, I've got like Miltank, but not that much in terms of pure bulk.
You have a lot of weakness on your team.
Keys. I love keys and keys.
Like you have ice fighting and ground weakness. Like 4 of your mons are weak to ice fighting and ground, but you have some resistances to that. But it could be taken advantage of, like a earthquake stone edge mon.
I mean, I think
like
you have a little bit of an electric weakness and you have a slight ice weakness as well. I think rock and fighting and ground aren't a big deal.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of like common weaknesses, but I also have a lot of like resistances to those weaknesses. Like in terms of electric, and it doesn't help that Coco brings up terrain, but I do have Shaman, I have Nidoqueen, I have Latias, I have Coco. I think that's all its electric resistances.
Yeah. Hazards are good. Removal is.
I'm not sure if you needed Barbarical.
Yeah, hazards. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say as well. Like Mega Gyarados and Barbarical pretty much do the same thing. I don't really understand why you would ever use Barbarical over Gyarados.
At that point, like I was looking at 3-pointers, I saw it there. It felt like a good Z-Mon with my team, and so I was just like, screw it, I'll grab it.
Yeah, I mean, you can use Barbarical like defensively a little bit.
in advance, so I was just at that point, I was just planning what else to get, and it was there. I was like, why not? And also, I wanted an additional water type just because I don't really think Gyarados is the greatest solo water, so I wanted at least a second water type.
Okay. Yeah, what does there say? I mentioned that removal is good, hazards are good, good clerics as well, so all that's great. Yeah, it's mainly just the defense that's a little bit shaky, and I think, I don't know, your wall breakers are a little bit limited. I mean, you have Mega Gyarados, and then like Coco, I don't really see so much as a wall breaker, even though it is power. It's more of like a pivot, so.
Yeah, definitely.
I think if there's anything to critique on your offense, it's your power, so.
I gave my team a good setup. I gave my team a 7.5.
I liked your team. I gave it a 9. It was like my second favorite team, second or third.
I gave it a 7.5 too.
Wow.
I think Howie gave it a 9 as well. So.
Actually, I gave it an 8. Never mind.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think you're.
I mean, the weaknesses for me were a little bit too much, but it's still a good score.
Yeah, I'm just a little unsure on the defense. I think it's gonna work, but it's weird. Okay, moving on to Bobert. Bobert's team, first of all, is a little bit slow. He's got 126, but then he drops down to 109. So, not the best.
Does have 5 mons at 100 plus speed, if I'm correct about that.
That's fine.
And I don't technically base 125s can't run adamant on. I don't think they can run adamant on 109. It's like a speed tie.
No, we can.
They can.
Yeah.
Okay, then
Talon
125s can, but just 125s, I think.
He has Gale Wings too.
Yee.
Yeah, I don't know. Talonflame isn't like super threatening though, so
Oh, hi,
Yeah, not
Robert.
really.
so I'm not in love with his speed. He's a little bit fire weak, he's a little bit fighting weak as well.
Yeah, there's no ground resist to this team, which could be an issue.
Oh, and no ground resist, I didn't notice that.
But there are several immunities, which
immunities,
kind of
yeah.
negated, but there's no, resist. That
Yeah, Zygarde.
Yeah, like you reliably switch him.
Yeah, you always want at least one like grass type for Zygarde, in my opinion.
I really like the momentum with this team. You have like Lando I, Ninshao is a great pivot. Heliolisk, Talonflame, Comfey, Mesprit, they're all really good pivots. Like there's a lot of momentum with this team, and I think it makes the offense really good.
Yeah.
Fire's really spammable on him.
Yep, I think so. In my opinion, his removal isn't good. Like, I don't really think you want to be running Rapid Spin on Mega Blastoise. Like, when Mega Blastoise is in, you want to be clicking an attack, So having Mega Blastoise as your only, well, I guess he's got Comfy too, but I guess it's okay, Defog. I don't know. His removal could be better. I don't like pressuring.
But
Blastoise
that's what Blastoise is. If you have to run it, it's a good remover.
Blastoise is a really good spinner.
I don't know.
I like the Firewater Grass and
It's
Paradigm Steel Course.
Probably
They're
because
both really
you'd
good.
rather have another one because he has the Talonflame, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
This is great hazard setters, at least. Crustle, Mesprit,
Yeah, great hazards.
Thero, Lando, we've all get rocks. I'm not missing any.
Why the Crustle when you have a Ferrothorn already? To set up
Shell Smash, why not?
Is that why?
Eventually Shell Smash, and it gets,
I guess.
backup, I suppose.
I was
So
thinking.
I don't think he had a rock or a bug type, so it fit.
What were you
It's also
saying?
be a good
I don't
stash lead or just sturdy lead. If I want to get.
Oh,
someone
a
up
sturdy
and high.
lead? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think Crustal's fine. I can set up a little bit too.
Does Crustle get in Denver?
It's a good question.
Interesting.
We'll say I don't like how the bulk has limited recovery. Like when you look at the bulk on this team, like Mega Blastoise, Mesprit, Ferrothorn, there's just not much recovery. I mean, I guess Muck kind of, but
Cuff is Muck
Yeah.
doesn't have
Really?
recovery if you knock it off anymore.
yeah, so really Comfey and Heliolisk are the mons with recovery on this team.
And then Kyurem is
And
like
Kyurem,
not really
but
defensive.
you're not running Roost Kyurem that much.
Yeah, I was looking at like Florges, but it got sniped from me. I was gonna have a good Wish Passer, but
Yeah, Wish
that
would have
would've
been
been
good
nice.
for this team.
Yeah, that
Good
would've been
cleric.
nice.
I mean, Mesprit and Comfey are pretty good clerics in their own right. So
Although now that you have Comfy, you have a decent priority.
that's
yeah,
true.
so
Good
the
priority.
Speed isn't as bad of a thing because I have some priority options like Gale Wings, Talonflame,
Yeah.
Comfy, Aqua Jet if I want to do that, stuff like that.
I don't know. Still not the best.
I think Heliolisk isn't really the best Pokemon either.
I like Helios.
really-
honestly.
not really
I think
a
it's
fan.
I think it's a
not
good
really a
pick
fan
for
either.
this team. Actually, I think it
I think
fits
so,
really
too.
well. I like this
It does
team.
what it does well, so
Like I give this team an 8,
Well,
and it was my
another
third
thing I wanted
highest
to
team.
talk about with this team is
It's like a discount.
I don't really understand why Kyurem is Z. He could Z like Heliolisk or Mienshao or
No, Kyurem's fine. What do you mean?
I don't know.
I'm indifferent to Kyurem Z. I mean, there weren't many. I think Talonflame Z was the best choice. There weren't that many better Z choices unless you wanted like Mesprit.
I think
I-
Mienshao would definitely be better Z. Heliolisk.
I mean,
would
I think
definitely
with
be better Z.
Mienshao, especially with this team, you're trying to run Scarf Mienshao a lot. I mean,
I
I
think
think
Mienshao works.
definitely it's
swallowing
a
his
really
team.
good Scarfer, and you're gonna want to abuse that.
I don't know.
that's
I
that's
just
another
I think
thing. I do
Kyurem Z is
have a lot of
fine.
good Scarf options for this team. Like
Yeah, the Scarf options are really
yeah,
good.
Heliolisk, Lando.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I like this team a lot. I like
Yeah, I
the
think we
offense.
covered everything. I gave it an 8. I do like it.
I also gave it an 8.
I gave it a 7.5.
It's one of the higher ranked teams, I believe.
And
Yeah.
Cowie gave it a 8 also.
Yeah, not it's
Yeah,
like
I
number
like it a
6,
lot.
I think.
I think it's a team that fits me because I like bulky offense and pivot stuff.
A team that
That-
can
it-
definitely work.
It's definitely bulky offense.
Next
Yeah,
up
it's
is
like
Peter.
yeah.
Right?
Next
Are
up
we
is
done with
Peter. Yeah, we're done.
Peter?
Why
Um,
did you draft Steelix?
Oh my. We'll
No.
get to that. That's,
Which is what everybody said in the league when he drafted Steelix.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, 3 steals. 3 steals isn't bad, but it gives him a
Dual
slight
ground, it
fire
just
weakness,
felt
and it gives him a
unnecessary.
ground weakness. His ground weakness like is bad. Yeah. What else?
There's some good things. Like the hazards in this team are really good. There's a lot of good setters. Like Jirachi,
Yeah, there's a lot of good
Doug
removers.
Trio, Garboder's a great hazard mon. Steelix even. There's some good hazard setters, and there's a lot of good priority on this team as well. When you look at Aquajet Azumarill, Extreme Speed Lucario, so there's good priority as well.
He gets vacuum wave too, yeah.
Priority's good. I don't like his speed though. Like Doug Trio, you can kind of count, but it's not exactly an offensive threat. And then so after Doug Trio's got like
Good trapper, like that's going to be really useful. And his
But what
speed
does he
tiers
trap
are
Doug Trio
good.
for?
Like there's no gaps in terms of speed tiers with this team, which I think is significant.
I just think his high speed isn't good. You know, like Doug Trio is
Yeah,
your high speed, and
that's
then like
probably
it drops
true.
all the way down to Thundy Eye.
Although only not even 135s can, I believe, technically run Adamant or Modest on Doug Trio, a max speed Doug Trio.
Well, if they're not like weak to Earthquake, they don't necessarily have to outspeed Doug Trio.
But who's he using Doug Trio to help on his team besides Hydreigon?
Yeah, I don't really get that either.
Yeah, it doesn't.
like Doug-
There's nothing like that screams this team needs Doug
I
Trio.
like Dougie to combo like, oh my god, if this ground mon or fire mon died, this mon would run
Yeah,
train on
except
everybody.
steals,
Yeah.
I guess for Rachi, sure, but I don't see steals as like a huge problem for this team.
Yeah, exactly.
Otherwise, it just doesn't feel like a team that says, "Oh, I get walled by steel types all the
No,
time."
it doesn't. Yeah, that's why the Doug Trio is a little random.
Mhm.
Nice, yeah, it can drop fires, but even on this team, it's a lot of fire checks.
Azumarill is like one of the, you know what I mean? Aquajet.
He also only has one power mon, Azumarill. Like no. I mean, Hydreigon's a wall breaker, I guess, but I'm not in love with Hydreigon.
I'll say his Fairy Dragon Steel Core is really good offensively. Like it's one of the best offensive Fairy Dragon Steel Cores between Jirachi, Hydreigon, and Azumarill. Like that's a really strong offensive core. But I will say that his Firewater Grass Core just feels lacking. I mean, Azumarill, Delphox, and Serena, it's
Yeah.
not bad, but it just doesn't feel great.
Yeah, another thing is his removal is not good. He like pretty much besides Serena, you don't really wanna like you can't really
Serena
fit
and
Defog on
Thundurus,
Hydreigon.
but Thundurus Hydreigon, but you really don't want to use them for Defog.
Yeah, so like unless he's bringing Serena, like Serena's a great rapid spinner, but you're not gonna bring Serena every single week, so
Did we say he's really ground weak too?
yeah,
I think
ground
I think you
weak,
mentioned that, yeah.
fire as well, and those are
Yeah.
like,
Does a
pretty-
good setup. I like the setup on this team, and I like the momentum as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good pivots.
I don't know. I think he can
Like
just kind of be
Hydreigon,
worn down,
Thundurus.
like defensively. Like he doesn't.
Yeah, there's not a lot of dedicated bulk. Like in terms of mons that are just there for bulk, it's Mega Steelix,
Yeah.
Serena. Like there's not a lot.
And
Like,
how
I think
often
you
is he gonna bring those? Yeah.
Like I think it's not too hard to wall his team, and then like you could just wear him down defensively. Like he doesn't really have any reliable recovery besides Serena, I think. So.
In terms of recovery, I don't think so. He does have some recovery. Like Hydreigon
Well,
gets roost,
Wish
but
technically and Wish, but like those are his offensive mons.
yeah.
So
And I
yeah.
guess Steelix, why Oricorio? I don't get the Oricorio pick. I don't think it's good at all. Even with 4 forms available, I don't think that's still useful. Like
I
I
feel-
don't think it will be
It's a
valuable. I think
surprise,
with 11
rapid
points to
spin block.
go, there were like he could have got Mega Pidgeot with this team. Like
Yeah.
I just think that there were
Yeah,
better
definitely. Mega Pidgeot would have
options.
been way
Like, I
better.
recommended Mega Pidgeot to him, but
Yeah, that would have been so
I think
good.
there were better options with this team.
To piggyback off what Ben said, yeah, to team, even though he has 3 steals, it's oddly weak to status like Will-O-Wisp and Toxic, because you can just wear him down defensively.
Yeah. Okay, I think that is good for Peter. I gave him a 7. Again, he has some weaknesses. His speed, his
I gave him
power.
a 7.5 because I think it's a decent draft still, even with the issues that it has.
Give him a 7.5. If he
Yeah.
if he drafted a little bit better down The later
down
rounds, I
down
think
the
it would
line,
have been
I think.
8.5,
I
something
think
like
his
for
that.
draft
sure.
got weaker. Just went down.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Oh, and let me say what
Any,
Cowie gave
this
him.
is
Cowie
Cowie.
gave Peter a 7.5 as well, so he averaged a 7.375. Okay, moving on to Franny.
Franny. This is a fun
Definitely
draft.
interesting draft.
I will say it's a fun draft.
Me and
Okay, so yeah, it's got 3 weather options. Although, I mean, I don't really count Alolan Ninetales.
Yeah, because there's no hail. I didn't like that about
No,
this
you
team.
don't. You don't
For
count
for drafting Alolan Ninetales, I mean, yes, there's Veil, but there's so much weather it's going to get canceled out, and when are you going to get the chance? Like, you don't want to ruin your other weather.
Well,
He probably has one of the.
having weather's good because, like, if you, like, say you bring Mega T-Tar and then, like, you switch around and then, like, 4 turns later you want to bring Mega T-Tar in again, like, it's better if you have another weather set and then you can bring in Mega T-Tar and get the sand up again,
Like,
versus
he's
it,
got the
like, wearing
Gastrodon
out.
pick, which if you could just have like an Alolan Sandslash there and use the points elsewhere,
Yes.
I think that makes the team so much
Yeah,
better.
I didn't get the
because he
Gastrodon pick at
doesn't
all.
need it. It's a decent wall, and it gives him some recovery because most of his team does not have. I mean, bar like Uniclus and
His
Crobat
walls
doesn't have recovery.
are lagging for sure.
Yeah, his defense
Yeah,
is
there's really no
bad.
dedicated walls. Like Uniclus is kind of the wall of this team.
Even though you want to
It's
set
not
up.
a good thing. And the offense is real. There's a lot of sweepers in this team. Like you got Drill, then there's Kingdra, like there's T-Tar. There's a lot of sweeping potential.
But his hazards are not there. It's probably one of the worst hazards in the
He's got good
of the
removal,
teams.
I'll say. There's
But yeah, his
decent
hazards
removal
are
on this
really
team.
bad.
Drill, at least. Drill Crobat, but the hazards are Drill T-Tar, and that's really not very. That's not good. You don't want to run rocks in those most of the time.
And then Cleric is limited too.
He has a lot of rock weaknesses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, if you look at his
offensive
team,
course.
if you look at his team, it's
Grass.
really squishy. Even though he didn't have any dedicated walls, but his offense is really squishy too.
Yeah, it's kind of.
It's not like like you call Hydreigon an offensive mon, but it's a little bit bulky at least. But his offense is super squishy.
I mean, Mega T-Tar can be pretty bulky if you need it to be.
Yeah, but he's gonna run rocks on it. You know what I mean?
That's true.
'Cause
Yeah.
what else is gonna?
There's a small speed gap. It's pretty minor, but 109 to 88. With a weather team, it's probably not a big deal, but it is there.
Yeah.
It's a 21 base speed
Yeah,
gap.
speed is fine considering he has Swift Swim and Sand Rush, so.
And for a team with weather, his momentum is really poor. Like, you have Raichu, and I believe that's Raichu and Crobat. And those are really the only mons that are going to be pivots.
That's bad.
And that can be really, like, you want more pivots with a weather team so you can abuse weather.
Also, he's weak to his own rain too, a little bit.
Like,
I think
the
he's a
strategy
little
with
bit.
this team is to just go in and storm people with weather, and that's.
Yeah, like it's as if he drafted like Weathermons over like Rockers and like Clerics and.
But there's
Yeah,
Weathermons.
there's really no
pivots
Clerics.
and,
There's Weathermons that are pivots and rockers.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. It's just like he prioritized the wrong things on this draft. He should have.
I mean, if you're on a weather team, he definitely got good options. I mean, there's not a lot of spots, but yeah, like he could have focused on like 1 or 2 weathers even, and then.
Like the Ninetales is really random because his setup isn't really there besides Reuniclus.
Yeah, I think this
like
would
offense.
be better if he dropped Raichu for Sandslash and then dropped Gastrodon for a different electric, for a better electric. I think I'll make this team a lot better.
Even then, the Roar isn't doing that
Oh,
much.
and he has no
Veil
grounded
is-
poison as well. So. And,
Yeah,
That
no
doesn't
ground.
help. Yeah, it really doesn't help.
Yeah. I wasn't too big of a fan of Franny's draft. I gave him a 6.
I had him at a 5.5 just because the offense is there. Like, he can go in and just destroy people by bringing 5 types of weather,
The defense just is really.
It's a good thing that you see his team beforehand.
Yeah.
I give him a 6.
And
Cowie?
Cowie gave him a 7. So
Yeah, his average was low. I think everybody, all 4 rankings, had him at 14th of 16, which is really just not very good.
Yeah. Bottom 3, for sure, I think.
Yeah, definitely bottom 3. Speaking of
Alright.
bottom 3, Shadow.
Yeah.
Also
We're moving
bottom
on
3.
to the fun
Speaking
draft.
of bottom,
Oh,
Transition.
okay. So
Right
Shadows.
there.
Yes,
Not a
transition.
good team.
Can
Not
I?
a good
Wait,
team.
I want to start.
All right, don't
Yeah,
freak
go
out
ahead.
too much about his draft. Isn't
All right,
as
hold
bad
on,
as people
hold
were saying, in my opinion.
Yeah,
So,
well-
so when you draft Mega Venusaur, the one thing I say is like Mega Venusaur is so good on balance. Like Venusaur, Tapu Fini, a good Firemon. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
like
Like
gotta prioritize
if you
defense.
draft a really good balanced team around Mega Venusaur, it's so scary. But like Mega Venusaur doesn't do anything for his team at all.
I mean, he's got some good synergy with Venusaur, Rotom, Wash, but overall, I think the synergy
Yeah,
of
that's
this team is
Rotom,
just
yeah.
lacking. I think the synergy is lacking. I
He
think it's
has
gonna be a problem.
6 Fire, Water, Grass.
Yeah,
How are you
so
gonna
he's got
support
2 waters,
Venusaur
2
at all?
fires, 2 grasses, which is 6 unique fire water
Yeah.
grass cores.
Which
So
He
I
doesn't
suppose
support his Mega.
isn't. I mean, one of them is defensive and one is kind of offensive, which I suppose is kind of interesting. But I think there were better picks to be made than drafting just a second Fire, Water, Grass core.
Keldeo, Darmanitan, and Kartana don't belong on the team. Period. I think.
Yeah, they're
And then,
not.
like-
they're just not necessary. They're not
Not-
bad. They're just
Not
not
even
necessary.
counting the fact that he
But they're
drafted
good
Gligar,
mons.
Steelix, and Sableye.
I don't know.
early.
I could see Kartana and Keldeo, but like Victini and Darmanitan literally do the exact same thing.
That's
I don't
true.
understand
Yeah.
at all.
Well, Darm is more of a. Yeah, that's true. They're
Like,
similar.
No,
you can run like
it-
they both get U-turn. They both like spam fire moves. I don't understand it at all. They're both like almost the exact same speed. Darman.
I will say, the momentum on this team is really good. You got Victini, Gligar, Rotom, Wash, and Darmanitan. Like, there's good momentum options at least, and the bulk for this team is, I think, pretty good. Like between
You only- yeah,
Venusaur,
but
Rotom,
with the
Wash,
bulk,
Gligar, Steelix.
with
like
the bulk, you
is
only
there.
have to prep for Mega Venusaur.
I don't know.
No, you still need to prep for other mons. Like,
Are you gonna like prep for Gligar? Is it really that hard to prep for Gligar? Not really.
you need to make sure you don't get walled by it at least.
Yeah, but it's a Gligar.
I don't know. I think the wall core is
Gligar's
pretty.
Gligar's underrated. I mean, I
And
don't
then
believe it
Rotom,
third
you don't
overall,
even
but
need
third pick,
grass
but-
moves to kill Rotom because Rotom isn't the bulkiest Pokemon, so you can just have a
Rotom,
Conkeldurr right there.
Rotom Wash is pretty fat. It's not like a total wall, but it can take hits.
Yeah.
It'll take hits where it's needed. I think it's a good pivot for the team.
He's also really weak to Psychic, not counting Victini, but
Ghost and
Sableye's like
Dark.
not even a Pokemon though.
There's no ghost resistance on this team, and there's only one dark resistant Diancie, so that's kind of an issue.
He's got rockers and no other hazards. He's got quad fire weak, quad steel weak, and he's got a ground weakness in general.
Yep.
Definitely a
And
ground
I
weakness.
think there's a lot of duplicate typings. I think the synergy of this team is just kind of off, and I think that's really the big issue here.
Just slapped on Pokemon on a team, really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the team just doesn't feel like it'll blend well together. Bar a few, there's a few good cores,
Like Rotom and Venusaur, that's you know what I mean. But
good wall breakers at least. There's a lot of good offense in this
Yeah,
team.
at least he has good offense.
Darmanitan, Kartana. It's like threatening offense. Just
Yeah, his
not in the
offense
right
is like
place.
fine. Although we haven't even talked about his speed yet. His speed
That's
115,
true.
109, 108. So again, not the highest speed. And then like
Yeah,
he's only got 1
And
over
there's
110,
no
you know.
speed gaps though. I don't believe there's any like speed gaps that can be abused. At least, like speed isn't really my concern with this team.
the thing is, if you're drafting all this offense and you just have a Mega Venusaur sitting there, it's just gonna get worn down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely gonna take the brunt of this team.
Yeah.
He's
He
also
does have
got
good
Not good.
recovery, at least some good recovery.
he's also got 2 quad ice weaknesses, so you know your opponent's gonna be bringing lots of ice coverage.
Gligar and Zygarde 10, yeah.
Yeah.
But why
Um,
did he draft Gligar and Steelix and Sableye so early?
Yeah, he's 3 ground types.
He
Like
could have
that's-
drafted Gliscor, which would have been way better.
I think Gliscor was Gliscor taken? No, it wasn't.
don't
It wasn't
think so.
Gliscor.
No, it
Yeah, it was
wasn't
not
taken.
taken at this point.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and Josh says that he didn't Z Kartana. That's definitely something. He Z'd Victini. Now Victini's not a bad Z user, but I do think that Kartana fit
Yeah, I agree.
the role more. Or even Zygarde 10. Zygarde 10 would have been a viable Z.
Would it?
There are definitely better Z choices for this team, I think.
Yep.
Victini's
Um,
not bad though.
Victini is not a bad Z user, but it's not as good as Kartana. I would say that I don't think it's as
Kartana
good
needs
as
it because
Kartana
he
for
needs
this
the
team.
Beast Boost.
Status, you can join. By the way, you can talk.
He needs the Beast Boost more, I agree.
Yeah, there's a lot of sweeping offensive potential, definitely. It's just the team doesn't feel like it blends together.
Well, it's sweeping, but not. There's no setup really.
No, there's definitely setup. I would say that there is
Can he
setup.
afford setup?
I mean, there's Zygarde. You have Zygarde 10 with Dragon Dance if you want to run that.
Yeah, but can he afford
Even
it?
Keldeo can set up. Kartana can set up. Glider can set up, although that's not really a setup sweeper.
Yeah. All right. Well, unless Shadows wants to talk, I don't know. I think it's a bad team. I don't think it's quite as bad as people are saying. I think just like the Gligar, Steelix, Sableye look weird where they were drafted. But yeah, I gave it a 4.
I give it a 4.5. So it's at the bottom for me, but I don't think it's that bad. We've seen worse teams. In this
I
Well,
gave
I
it a
think-
4. We have seen worse
series.
teams.
I think there
Yeah.
is a worse
4.
team in this draft, but
Oh,
Well,
but you do. Right. Yeah, we'll get to that.
In my
We
opinion,
will get to that.
In my opinion, it's the worst team, but it's not as bad as like
it's
know,
not
2 or
that
something.
bad. I don't know. It's bad. It's not.
At
Like,
least at least he has something.
Okay. Are we
Alright.
moving on?
Yeah.
Alright, it's time for the Aussie man himself who can start talking
Aussie
if he
man.
wants.
Okay. Biggest thing about Jackin's team, his speed is not good. 110, 108,
Shut up!
100.
Yeah, fair enough. It's not.
Okay, and then he's got 3 key weaknesses. He's got a fire weakness. He's got a water weakness. He's got an ice weakness.
That's true. Everybody has an ice
You're
weakness
right.
in this
Well,
damn
well,
draft.
Mega Sizzle definitely don't feel.
Okay. Yeah,
So
you
it's-
have Aloe,
Sizzle
which is really
a fair
key for your
ice
team.
check, but there are significant ice weaknesses to this team. Like between
The ones that I was
Gliscor,
saying
Togekiss.
Um,
I'll say I like the bulk a lot, and the clerical options this team are really good. Team has good recovery. Like there's a lot of good
the
defense. with
bulk
this
is
team.
really good, definitely.
And there's great priority of Mega Scizor. You know, you have
And
Conkeldurr. It's right there.
Togekiss gets extreme speed.
So
Does it?
Togekiss does get extreme speed.
Good thing it does like
How's my
4.
extreme speed? Yeah.
The hazard options in the team are really good as well.
Good
I mean, you got
hazards.
Webs, Galvantula, you've got a fair number of rockers, Mew, Tyranitar, Gliscor.
And
They
a
all get stealth
removal
rocks.
is like even better. Removal is really good.
Yeah. Mega Scizor, Gliscor, Togekiss. They can
Yeah,
all
so you're
do-
not going to be
Mew can
really
defog.
wearing his team down with the
Yeah.
hazard sec
The
because he
bulk is
and he has
really
good bulk. Yeah.
Good.
I just
No, I agree on the speed front. I agree. That's because I got. Man, did I get fucking sniped a few times. That's all right. The big snipe. I got to talk about this. Franny fucking wrecked my entire plan right off the bat. Round one. When's the
Yeah,
last
blame
time you saw
Fran.
round one Excadrill? Like, I was
Yeah.
like so guard when that happened. I was like, wait, what the fuck?
Say
Yeah.
my kind of chief complaint here is the Fairy Dragon Steel and Firewater Grass Cores I think are kind of weak. There's no dragon on this team,
Yeah,
and
fire
there's no
either.
fire type as well. And you have a grass type Roselia, but it's not a very good
It's
grass
there,
type.
it's there for the poison grounded, to be honest. It's not
Yeah,
there.
like it's
Yeah.
it's a grounded poison and a T-spiker, and that's what it is for this team.
And it's a spiker as well, don't forget that. Yeah, nah, fair enough. My biggest concern that I've got at the moment, which I'm looking at fixing, is the water weakness. The water weakness I'm more concerned
Yeah.
about because rain ends me if it gets up. So I need to really concern about that. Otherwise, I'm less concerned about the ice weakness than you guys are, because Mega Sizzle makes ice types go shit and run away.
Yeah, because this team is
Um,
fat. Like
yeah.
This team is fat as fuck.
you do have Tyranitar can cancel out rain. I like the sand for this team. I think it's a good touch.
Yes.
I
Well,
don't
Tyranitar was
really
the plan
agree
from the
with sand
beginning because
words.
I used it recently in a speed tour and it won me the fuck out. So I was keen to give it a test in an actual draft league.
Galvantula fits on this team, but I don't really. I don't think it's very necessary given what you have. Like I don't think
What?
it's.
I don't know. Eventually, say it does get Ziggy up, which is a hard ask because it is a bit rough, and I've only got defog. I don't have rapid spin. But say it does get it up, that gives Togekiss huge leverage with Air Slash. That gives
Yeah.
sorry, that gives Conkeldurr a bit of a boost against slower teams. That gives Dugtrio a much more opportunity to use Choice Band over Choice Scarf because Dugtrio is going to be Choice Scarf. If I bring it, I might get rid of it.
Trio is cool. I like that pick. It's fun. You don't
Which one?
see it.
Which deck?
The
Which one,
Doug
Brian?
trio he said.
Oh, the Doug Tree.
No, Dugtrio.
We'll say
Dugtrio.
about webs. There's no rapid spin, which isn't probably a big deal, but you will be
It's probably if I got
default.
defog removal. I wouldn't mind a rapid spinner, but there were none that I could see that were really beneficial
Yeah.
to me, apart from another ice weakness in Sand Slash, and I said no,
Yeah,
I'm not going to get the
That's
ice
true.
weakness.
That's worth
Even though
it. Yeah.
Trio would probably force the average ice speed, I still feel Sand Slash wouldn't have been better. So
Yeah.
even though Sand Rush is a thing on that thing.
Well, you needed the speed, you know.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
needed a speed, and in Sand, Trio A boasts a stupid amount of power actually. Between Ironhead and Earthquake, Sand Force really hits like a truck.
Well, there's a lot of good setup with this team. Actually, you've got Mew, Tyranitar, Mega Scizor, that
High score,
can
Togekiss,
kill
they
their
can all
Glide
do
Score.
it.
Yeah, there's a lot of good setup, and there's a good momentum. I don't know if I mentioned it, but you got Mew, Mega Scizor, Glide Score, Togekiss, even Alamomola. They're all pivots.
Yeah, well, that's pretty good. Thank you. And then just at the end, Stoutland's there because Sand Rush, fair enough. I lost my extra duel, so I had to get something.
Yeah, that works with the team. I mean, it doesn't fit any huge roles, but it works. It's not a bad
Another
pick.
problem I've found, which you guys haven't mentioned, is I've got the three Dark Resist, but I've got the one Ghost Immune. That's it. And I've got the Ghost Resistant Tyranitar, but I've got the one Ghost Immune.
Yeah, you get Tyranitar.
And the Ghost is more of a problem for me than I originally
The good
thought.
thing Marshadow isn't in this league. You
Yeah,
get
Dude,
bodied.
if I was in this league, I wouldn't be in this league, bro.
Yeah,
Marshadow.
Marshadow.
But I think the initial core of Mew Tyranitar is really strong. They work really well together. Scizor and Gliscor obviously just backing up Tyranitar. Obviously, Scizor can do a lot of other things, but Gliscor is there to back up Tyranitar potentially. Togekiss is there to annoy the fuck out of my opponent and hopefully get a few rage quits. And
Which is
yeah, but I get the feeling if I don't switch up something in the bottom three Pokemon, I'm going to have to bring a level more every week, and I'm not so
Yeah,
happy.
Aloe is really critical.
Aloe's gonna be
Aloe is crushing the team up, and I need to fix that.
Yeah, you have to be careful with that because otherwise people are just gonna start taking advantage.
Yeah, every Z move is going to be your take it out with team force. That's the problem, and I'm just going to work on that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I reckon the speed tier you guys mentioned, I think, is not as bad as you think. Given Stoutland and Dugtrio can both fix that problem a bit. Togekiss can obviously spread Thunderwave and be a massive come that way. So speed, it's not as big of an issue for me as you guys feel.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you have good priority too. I just think the story with this team is the offense. I just don't think the offense is super strong. I think you don't really have a lot of special attackers.
Like you said again for me.
Huh?
The what's not very strong?
Offense.
Are you stupid?
Just the special
I
attackers.
can see it. There's not a ton of wall breakers. There's good setup, but there's not.
What do you mean there's a wall breakers? There's a fat thing called Conkelder down there.
Yeah, Conkeldurr. I don't know. I haven't seen Conkeldurr do all that
Well,
well.
no, he
very
does
much.
have good setup, so I think he's fine there.
Yeah, he's got good setup, but in terms of monsters come in and boom, things dead. I don't know.
It's not my type of offense. My type of offense is
Or
fast.
Stoutland. Stoutland to me is the best breaker on this team.
Stoutland is that trio of the breakers for sure, yeah. But as for to say Tyranitar, Mega Scizor, and Conkeldurr are breakers is also not true because they are. They hit like a fucking truck. So yeah.
Alright. But yeah.
We gotta move on, but I'll say
No, you fucking don't. Listen to me. No, I'm sorry.
we gotta say one final thing that he probably has the best. If it was a bulk battle, he has the best heal bellers. He has the best bulk of anybody, and he can wear down everybody.
This bulk is really, really good.
Yeah, and he has really good heal bellers. You know what I mean? So
Just
if it was a
Franny's
bulk v bulk battle,
it's great. His
would
bulk is great. It's one of the better defensive teams there is in the draft.
Yeah.
But I still give him a 6
trying to be defensive team. Whoops.
just because I think there are still flaws to the team, and so I have him at a 6, which I don't think is bad, but there are improvements to.
I will be real honest right now. I'm looking at switching Galvantula, Dugtrio, and Roselia up a bit.
Yeah.
Maybe not Dugtrio, but Galvantula and Roselia.
I just think
there's improvements to be made.
I just think the fire, water, ice weakness and an offense. I gave it a 6.5.
I gave it a 7.5 because I can see what you're trying to do. I definitely respect it more than everybody.
I don't know.
I think
Maybe
the
it's a
average
7.
is about a 6 for this team.
Yeah. Sorry. Let me get
A little
Cowie's
above.
again. I keep forgetting. Cowie gave Jackin a 7.5, so he averaged to a 6.875. All right. Let's move on. Finally.
Alright, boy, you fuckwits!
Hi, Jockin.
All right, moving on to Omega's team.
My bad.
Omega. Your
Mega.
speed
Well,
is
Josh
not.
wants me to say that your team sucks, and I have my complaints, but I think it's still a decent team. But Josh,
I don't
Josh,
like
your team
Omega's
sucks.
team. I got some things to say about Omega's team.
My team doesn't suck.
Okay, Omega's speed is not good. First of all, he's got 145 and he's got two 110s and then a 101. Also, his
There's a
145
speed gap. 145 to 110, there's a speed gap.
and like his 145 is a Selgor, which isn't like a super threatening Pokemon. So,
Yeah. I will say that the Firewater Grass Core, I think, is really good. I think it's a really good, bulky Firewater Grass Core. Suicune, Bulu, and Arcanine, I like it a lot. And I think that this team has really good setup and wall breaking options offensively. So I think there's a lot of good bulk and offense to this team.
yeah. Although
I definitely agree with that.
he
Yeah.
also doesn't have a Firewater or a Fairy Dragon Steel Core.
Yeah, it's missing a dragon.
And like,
I mean,
how does he kill a dragon type? Like, what in his team is gonna kill dragons?
yeah, there's Bulu. Bulu counts is defensively a fairy, but offensively, the fairy here is Cutiefly.
Bulu can't kill dragons, you know.
And I don't believe this team is an ice type, so there is going to be some.
I think you're underestimating Bulu. You know, Woodhammer would do like over 60 to most
dragon types. So
yeah.
I don't know what you're on about there,
I don't know, yeah.
Yeah, Woodhammer does like it's over 60 to Hydreigon. So
there's good hazards. This team is good. I think this team is good hazards and decent removal. I mean, relying on Donphan, but Donphan is, I think, still a good remover. And in terms of speed tiers below 110, they're pretty balanced. That's a good thing. I will say that there aren't really many good clerics, even though this team has good bulk. But with mons like Suicune and Donphan, you want status removal,
clerics.
and it just doesn't. This team doesn't have it. I mean, Cutiefly.
Like actually zero clerics. Yeah, Cutiefly doesn't count at all. Yeah, clerics are bad. Removal is also bad. Donphan is his only spinner. Like, you don't want to run Donphan every week.
Is Bolt Beam. I mean, a lot of teams in this draft are actually weak to Bolt Beam and Ice, but Bolt Beam is a problem, and like Registeel is the only psychic resist. Now Registeel is a pretty good psychic resist, but it will eat psychic hits. But beyond Registeel, there is no. It's not like this team is crazy weak. There's only, I think, 1 or 2 months weak to psychic, but
no,
it's still.
You're saying it's spammable.
Yeah,
that's definitely my biggest problem with his draft is there's no dark type, and I don't think Registeel is personally like that good of a psychic switch in, like just because it gets worn down.
I think Titan would be better replaced by Type Null. I don't think it's very necessary for this team. I think that the role Type Null fills is not super necessary. Like mons like Suicune and Registeel fill it already, and I think that a dark type would have been better suited for this team.
Yep, I definitely agree.
The reason I drafted Type Null because I needed more pivot on the team and more bulky pivot.
That's
because
fair.
You should drop.
Type Null can also take a psychic move too.
I mean, the momentum on this team is not great, but there's some of it. You know, you've got Thunderous T can be a pretty good pivot. I mean, it's a powerful special attacker, definitely. You know, and Selgor is somewhat of a pivot, but they're definitely, you know, the pivots are important. And that's
right. That's why I wanted. Also, like I'm covering the ground weakness really well because of the boot. Like I don't really have that much ground weakness.
Yeah, Josh is saying there's a lot of setup that's problematic, and that's definitely true. Like there's not much to deal with setup, especially with the lack of recovery with this team. And I think the bulk can be kind of passive.
Yeah.
So setup, like offensive setup mons and even bulky setup mons can be problematic because there's not much to deal with it. But you know, there's a couple phasers like War Suicune, but that's about it.
Yeah, the one thing I
really like. Go ahead, Ben.
Well, we were just talking about Type Null. You should drop it for Lipard because that gives you speed. It's still a pivot.
No, I think Type Null is better than Lipard.
No, I think Type Null's better.
I think Type Null is better than Lipard, but I just feel like there has to be some better dark type, even if you had to make other transactions
I mean, even if it's like a low tier
this
dark
team.
Type, it's still better, you know.
No, I mean it has to be a decent low tier dark. Like yeah, you'd never bring Lipard. Like Type Null would have more use, but there has to be like a better option.
One thing I really like on my team is that Mega Gallade and Thundurus are complemented really well together. Like Psychic are usually things that wall Mega Gallade are bulky psychics, and Gengar takes care of those. Thundurus usually the things that wall him is like Tangrowth and stuff, and Gengar fills that, so they complement each other really well as a 3-person offensive core that breaks everything.
Yeah. No, I see that. Also, you're a little bit flying weak, in my opinion.
I can see that. I mean, yeah. I mean, there's definitely a few weaknesses. Gallade, Bulu, Selgor. But you do have, like, Pokemon like Registeel, and even Thundurus can take a flying hit.
Suicune can take flying hits, too.
And then also
And,
only
I mean,
only
Suiku's not trying to take a Z Hurricane from a torn T, but,
Yeah.
you know, it can eat a hit.
And then last thing I wanted to say, you only have 2 Scald switch-ins as well.
Yeah,
Isn't that all you need is 2 skull switches?
It's Suicune and Bulu, I suppose, but
No,
even
Bulu
Bulu
is
doesn't
not a
really get
Scald
scalded.
switch-in. No way.
But what's the other one then?
Suicune and
Registeel?
like Registeel, I guess?
I guess
I don't even
Registeel,
know.
yeah. But
Really only
it
one,
depends
Suicune.
on the Scalder. Like, there's certain things you don't want to switch Registeel into. You just don't.
Yeah, so really only
It doesn't.
one.
It doesn't
Scald
mind
switch-in.
being burned. It's like not the best thing though, but since it has no recovery.
Alright,
Okay.
well, I gave
Moving
this
on.
team a 7.
I gave it a
What
7.
was the...
So
you gave it
Vern gave it a
7?
7. I gave it a 7. Omega, you gave yourself an 8. And
And what
Cowie
did Cowie?
gave Omega a 7.5.
Yeah, I'm biased on
Yeah.
that too.
So average
Well,
is
biased, yeah.
7.375.
Okay. Next is Ben's favorite
Oh,
team,
no.
Ruppy.
Oh yeah.
Ben, you
that's-
wanna rant a bit, Ben?
Yeah, let me
Gonna rant.
rant a little bit on Ruppy's team. Let me get at my notes here.
Ben does not like Ruppy's team. Yeah.
I just looking at it, like, okay, he's got some good mons on his team. I just think his offense is bad and his defense is bad. His only, like, real decent offensive mon is Mega Charizard X. Like, yeah, he has a Raikou. But, I don't know. Just prep
I mean,
for Mega
his
Charizard X and you can
Rupp
kind of
is
wall him, in
good.
my opinion.
I like Rupp.
Really bad speed. He's got Raikou at 115, and then he's got 2 110s. You know your speed's bad when Tentacruel is your second fastest thing on the team. He's got a gigantic. This is the biggest thing probably. He has got a gigantic electric weakness. I think before Mega Charizard evolves, I think he's got like 6 or 7 electric weaknesses.
That's the most weaknesses I've ever seen on the
Yeah,
team.
7.
Actually.
I think it is 7. Charizard X
What?
or Charizard, Finny, Skarmory, Araquanid, Tentacruel, Xatu.
Yeah, Charizard
Oh,
is
no, so
kind
it's
of a,
6.
like, it's a different one.
That
But you
means he
can
has
just-
to like lead with Charizard X to get the resistance.
Yeah, but like Burn, you can just literally lead
Oh.
with your electric type and just click Thunderbolt turn 1, and
Yeah.
then like the only thing
Yeah.
is him switching in Crocodile.
I will say,
you know?
I don't get the triple water. I mean, I appreciate that Araquanid and Tentacruel both have roles they can do, right? Araquanid's a Weber and Tentacruel's a Spinner, and both of those are unique to this team. But it just feels like, what is the point of having both? They're just not necessary.
Yeah.
Definitely
In
not.
addition to the electric, he has a pretty big ground weakness as well. I mean, you've got Skarmory and I guess Araquanid, but there's not much else that's taking hits from ground types.
Well, I mean, when Skarmory is pressured to take an electric move, you definitely
Yeah.
have a ground weak.
Stunfist just runs through the team.
I know, and we were saying Lantern.
really does.
Lantern destroys this team.
Yeah, Lantern.
It's like so, yeah.
Like, I mean, also Rotom Wash, but Lantern, yeah.
I mean, there are definite perks. I think the Fairy Dragon Steel core of this team, Zardex, Feeny, Skarmory is really good, and the Firewater Grass core is pretty solid.
It
as
went
well.
downhill after Rizrid.
Yeah, I would definitely. I think the first 6 picks in this team were really good, but the last 5 could have been better. I mean, X-Blood is an underrated wall breaker. I actually like the X-Blood pick for this team, but I'm kind of iffy on Zati Scrafty. I think that they're not bad picks, but they aren't necessary.
Well, honestly, if he got rid of his bottom 5 for another bottom 5, it could be like an 8.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah,
it could be
it
a
could,
much better.
yeah.
It could be. I mean, you could say that about any team, but you know,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, but
definitely
those mons are so solid, like Zardex, Phoenix,
Yeah.
Skarm. Yeah.
the first 6 are they're quite good. I do like the hazard setting and removal. I think are really good. I mean, you've got a lot of good defoggers, Feeny and Skarmory, even Zatu, I suppose, and you have a good spinner and Tentacruel and good hazards, right?
Yeah, those
no,
two
not
are
Feeny, but
excellent.
Skarmory,
Setters-
Crocodile, they're both good rockers. Tentacruel gets toxic spikes. Araquanid gets sticky webs. There's a lot of hazard versatility.
Yeah, that's
I like that
definitely the
about this
best thing
team.
about that draft. Also, we didn't talk about his defense.
It's
His
got good
defense is
defense.
not-
I think
I
his
don't
good
think
defense is
so.
good.
And
I like
also,
his bulk. I mean, Feeny and Skarmory are great bulk. I mean, bar the electric weakness, I think they have good synergy. And even mons like Crocodile Roserade can be pseudo bulky. Araquanid and Tentacruel can take hits. I think the bulk is there for this team.
and he only has 1 reliable recovery. Skarmory. Well, I guess Mega Charizard X, but Skarmory is only like defensive, reliable recovery. So I think he gets worn down.
Is it weird that I can see his Charizard X being defensive every week, even though it's his only really good offensive mon?
Defensive Zardex
like
isn't
really
bad,
weird.
but I can see it. Oh, Josh says it's special normal is spammable. Yeah, he doesn't have much of a ghost type. He has no ghost type. That's true. So you could, in theory, depending on what other coverage you might have, normal is definitely spammable.
Yeah, I
Like
mean,
you look at this team, and then you look at Megalopony, and then it's just death to everything.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know.
Bar
I
the
feel like there's a lot
Skarmory, you
of
kill that Skarmory, and then that Megalop runs through this team.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Anything else? Oh, the team is kind of slow. We didn't mention this, but after Raikou, it caps at 115. There aren't any like massive speed gaps, but capping 115 really is not that good.
Yeah, I mean, and then it's 100 after
And
115.
there's no
so it's
there's
like,
no priority on this team to support it. I mean, yeah, there's really no priority in this
Yeah,
team
there's no
supporting it
priority.
at all.
Yep. I
don't think it's the worst team though, because he will, since his hazard control is so good and his hazards are so good, that
Speed
he will
Raikou. All right.
sweep his team sweep teams with Charizard X sometimes.
Also,
but
he
I
only-
gotta say though, Barzard X, I don't think his setup is very good. I mean, I know there are months it can set up, but I just don't like the setup on
Yeah.
this team. I think that in terms of offense, like I think he has good wall breakers, but that's offense. Like, going with setup is really not the way. Barzard X is not the way this team's gonna win.
Yeah, and his only wall breaker too is Charizard X. Like X-Bladder don't really count as a
Yeah,
wall breaker.
Zard
for
X
power.
is the offensive
Yeah.
part of this team. That it's Zard X.
Yeah, but like I said,
I think
it's
Zard
also
X
the
is very
defensive
good,
part of
but
this team,
yeah,
which is really weird.
the team is Zard X.
Yeah.
Is he gonna run like bulky Dragon Dance Sardex every game?
I don't know.
Okay. Is there anything else we need to mention? I mean, it's good clerics. I like his clerics and the clerics in his team.
You mean player?
Rosemary is the only one that does get cleric, but Feeny with Misty Terrain is
No,
pretty
his
nice.
clerics are fine.
So that's
Cleric.
true. That's a good point.
Yeah, I just really don't like his offense. I just really don't like his defense. So I gave it a 3.5. I'm sorry.
Josh doesn't like the Crook. I think the Crook actually fits his
No,
team.
he
in my
needs
head.
the
If he
ground
didn't have
type.
Crook, his team would be
He
worse.
needs the
I think
ground
his team
type.
is better off with Crook. Crook is better off. I love Crook. I think it's a great mon. I think that most teams are better off with it, but I think that I wouldn't say that it doesn't fit this team. I think it's. I mean, it may not
No,
be
I
the
think it
best.
fits his team. Yeah, I think it's fine.
I mean, he definitely needs
Yeah, I
a good
guess
ground
nothing
type with all of his
you know.
electric weaknesses.
But
So
Crook itself can't even be a breaker.
And, like, Crook
I
isn't-
do agree though, and I think Crook could be shoehorned into a defensive role with
it
intimidate.
has
and
it
stealth
has to
blocks.
be because this is
With
only
this
electric switching and like
Yeah,
that's the
so
thing about Crook
it's
too.
gonna
Like
be
it
forced him
doesn't.
to be. I mean, I've actually used bulky Crook, and I think it's decent. It can work, but you don't want to be running bulky Crook all the time.
Yeah, and like Crook doesn't like most electric types are special attackers, and Crook doesn't handle
And
special attack
it's
as well.
arguably like really, it's his main Scarfer. He doesn't have much else in terms of Scarfers. We haven't been talking about
Yeah,
that a
that's
lot.
true.
But you look at Scarfers, and
Crook,
Scarf Rose Raid, you might run that once. Scarf Raikou, maybe,
Yeah.
but really Scarf Crook is the Scarfer for this
Scarf
team.
Raikou isn't that good.
Yeah,
though.
that makes the speed
Yeah.
even worse. I didn't even see that.
He doesn't have much in terms of viable Scarf yet. Well, so I give this team a 5 because I don't think it's absolutely horrible. I think there's a lot of pros to this team. I know Ben does not think so, but I give it a
think
5.
I agree because there is a lot of pros to his team. So I gave it a 4.5.
Give 4.5. That's fair. That's
Yeah.
fair.
So and then Cowie gave his team a 5.5, so he averaged to 4.625.
About 4.5.
All right. 2 more drafts to go. We got Gilly's
2 more
draft.
drafts. We're getting there.
Gilly's draft is nice. He's got a lot of balance.
So first of all, he's got these problematic speed gaps. Now he's got a lot of high tier speed that I like. I think he's got 5 months at 100 plus speed. But when you look beyond that, he's got Milotic at 81, which is never going to be really much running speed investment. And then beyond that, it drops all the way down to 55, which I believe is Crawdon. So basically between 100 and 55, there's total leeway. And I think that's going to be really problematic. Like everything is either very fast or very slow.
But again, he does have really good top end speed. 135,
I noticed that
124,
For a
115,
team where
108.
5 of 11 mons are at over 100, the average speed on this team is 80. Like, it averages to 80. That's just, like, that's how slow everything else is.
I mean, I just think that's what happens when you draft a lot of fast things. You're gonna have a speed. You're inevitably gonna have a speed gap between like 100 and like your defensive lawns.
Well, you will have some speed gaps, but that's a big speed gap to have. Like, even 1 or 2 more faster mons would have been better.
I think
Yeah.
out of everybody else's bulk, his is the most status weak out of everybody.
That's fair. He doesn't. I mean, the clerical options on this team aren't
Like
great.
Ramami
There's
is
a
a
couple.
player,
Yeah. Although
Yeah, no, his clerics are
I think,
bad.
but I do think his bulk is really good. He's got great recovery. Zapdos, Milotic, Hippowdon is going to be hard to break through. That's
But if you
really
look at a
solid
team and you're like, how do I break Zapdos, Hippowdon, and Milotic? Toxic, you know?
Toxic.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
true.
that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Status is viable.
But saying
Right,
that
the
being
bulk, I think,
said,
can be
his
one-dimensional.
Walkhorse, huh?
I think the bulk can be one-dimensional. I mean, you look at, if we're talking about Zapdos, Milotic, Hippowdon, they can do other things, sure, but most of the time you know what they're going to do in this matchup.
I guess, but they're so good. I think his Walkhorse is so good.
They are good. His bulk is really good, and he's got good momentum.
Good.
I like the pivot to momentum on this team.
It's not like he's gonna not.
Megalop is good. I actually like the Azelf pick a lot with this team as well.
Yeah, Azelf is really important for this team. It's
good. Yeah, that's because when you look at Azelf is really the fast offense in this team because he's got some good slow offense. Geology and Korodon are both great breakers. Adaptability core. I've actually never seen anybody do that, but which is pretty cool. But really, it's Megalop and then Azelf.
Yeah, he only has 2 wall breakers really, or 2 power mons with Dragology, Mega Lopunny, or maybe Chronon. I don't know, but Chronon and Dragology both are really slow.
I don't like Sand with this team. Maybe it's just me, but the only mon I see on this team that benefits from Sand is Fortress. To me, I don't get why.
I think Sand actually really hurts him.
I think it was a horrible choice for his team.
Yeah, I think Sand really hurts him, and in fact, I think he should just run
for a team
Force
reliant on bulk. I think that, especially with Milotic running stuff like Flamor, Hippowdon, a good bulky ground type fits his team. I think that was a good pick, but I think there were better other bulky ground types that would do the same thing that just are better because Sand, he could have at least picked up a Sand Sweeper, but he didn't. Hippowdon is really the only mon that there's no mon that benefits from Sand.
Yeah, no, and I think his team is so hurt by Sand.
Force, but I don't know.
Do you really
I think you should absolutely run Sand Force
every week because if you draft Hippowdon, you want to.
Yeah, if you draft Hippowdon, especially because Hippowdon's advantage is the fact that Sand can cripple other teams, and you want to build around that. But yeah,
in a bulk v bulk matchup, he's pretty much going to lose though.
Oh yeah, talking about his cores. His Firewater Grass core is incomplete because he doesn't actually. He doesn't have. I believe it's a fire type. He doesn't have a fire type.
He doesn't have fire.
And his Fairy Dragon Steel core just is not good. Not only that, but Fortress is Fortress bad. Just bad. I hate Fortress. Fortress is not a good mon. Fairy and Dragon is gonna wreck this team. No, Fortress is bad. Bad.
As a Pokemon, I disagree with you. I do agree that for his team, it doesn't really work.
I think it's
because
okay.
Fortress can utilize Custap Berry now, and he gets every single hazard. It does get pivot, which you can't really say about that many setters that they get.
And he has good hazards. The hazards are amazing on this team, and the removal is really good.
Yep.
But just the Fortress pick, I don't like Fortress at all.
And then going over a little bit of his weaknesses, he's actually got a little bit of a fairy weakness, psychic weakness, fire weakness, and I think that's it.
Yeah, actually, I think psychic. He's got Crawdon, which I guess, but
yeah, but Crawdon's so slow.
Yeah, you're not switching Crawdon in,
And
if you switch Crawdon in as a psychic mon, most psychics have Focus Blast.
Dusknoir can check psychics, I guess, but really, Fortress is the psychic resist, and even then, that's beat by HP Fire, which basically most psychics are going to be able to carry.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
And Mega Zardax runs through the team.
Also, his setup is very limited. He's got his Elf, I guess, and maybe
Ruppy brings Zardax.
He's got some good setup. Crawdon can SD Aqua Jet, which is going to be threatening, right? He has good priority in this team, really good priority.
Yeah.
And Virizion can also be a sort of low-key setup sweeper, but there is nothing dominant as a setup mon on this team.
Yeah. All right, let's move. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say his Lopunny technically gets hurt by Rocky Helmet, and he only has one good knock for on really. That's Crawdon.
He's got Azelf. Azelf can knock off. It's a decent support knockoff mon, but you're right. Yes. Crawdon is the primary knockoff mon on this team.
You're not gonna bring it every time.
Yeah. Okay.
I am a 6.5. If that's all I have to say about that.
I think his team is pretty balanced in general. I gave it a 7.5.
I think he's got a lot of strengths, but there's just too many flaws that.
Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm gonna lower it to 7.5 because I had it as.
Okay.
I mean, 6.5 might be low, but I just think that his team doesn't measure up to the other teams that have a 7 or a 7.5. And I don't think I can really give him an equal ranking.
Okay. And Cowie gave him a 8. So.
Ranking,
We
yeah.
got it. His average is wrong because Omega changed it, but
Yeah,
so, yeah.
7.5, so a little bit lower than that. Okay. Moving
team.
on to our last draft, Muck's draft.
Muck 1.
Ooh. Okay.
This is an interesting team.
His team.
Very interesting.
So the thing with Muck's team is his team kind of looks like bad at first, in my opinion, but he's got so much good setup options. I think it's a really, really threatening team to prep for.
Yeah.
I think it's the opposite. His team looks good at first, but then you
Yeah.
delve into it, and then
Well,
it looks
his
bad.
team is top. The first 6 are absolutely terrifying. You look at the first 6 and you try to prep for that and you want to kill yourself. But then the last 5, there's just nothing there. Like, I think the bottom end of his draft is just lacking. I mean, they're not bad mons. I just think that it's underwhelming.
It definitely
to
is
the rest.
underwhelming, and he'll be forced to bring at least 2 of them every game.
Yeah, and I mean, like his offense is really, really good. I mean, you could argue that the first 6 make it the best offensive team in this draft. Like the setup is there, the wall breaking is there, the priority is there, but beyond that high tier offense, just everything else is kind of just wrong.
Yeah, his defense is definitely very limited, for sure.
There's not much defense for an offensive team. The pivots here, I mean, you've got speed pass, goal, you've got baton pass, which actually can speed pass. I don't know why, but like speed pass Mega Mawile is going to kill everyone. But otherwise, he doesn't have pivots. I mean, that's basically it. There's no other mon that gets U-turn or baton pass or volt switch. Speaking of, it's an electric type, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but for an offensive team, you'd think they would always have an electric type. Nope.
Yeah, for an offensive team, he doesn't really have any.
Yeah.
You're right. But he does have good deceptible trick room because he has Mawile and Necrozma.
Yeah. Fire, ice, and electric run through this team. And what I don't like is Mega Mawile is the only fairy steel. Like, it's not going to hold up as a fairy type, and it's not going to hold up as your steel type. Like, in terms of defense, this team just doesn't have it.
Yeah, and speaking of that, he's very fire weak as well.
Yeah.
Fire's definitely really
fire water rascal is incomplete.
He's also ice weak as well, like pretty big.
A lot of typings his team is just missing.
Yeah, and I think again that just comes back to the bad defense. Mega Mawile and Ursaring are his only
skinny
power.
pick. I don't get it. Is there a skid what the skinny meme is? But I don't. I mean, there could have been some other one pointer that would have been better, but it's like skitty.
Well, he's just trying to meme. But yeah,
Mega Mawile. I agree. There's better one pointers, yeah.
Mega Mawile and Ursaring are his only power.
I think the offense there is power. Like there's so much setup, like Zygarde and Superior and Necrozma and Scolipede. Like the offense is so good.
Yeah, his setup is insane. It's just it's gonna be so hard to prep for, man.
Beyond those 6, like those 6 are gonna be really difficult to prep for. But beyond those 6, I think that when you look past the pure offense of those 6, you just see all these other flaws. That even if I think the first 6 will win him games, but there's just a lot of flaws that are problematic.
Yeah. Otherwise, he's got good removal, good cleric, or good setup, or what am I saying? Good hazards.
He doesn't have good clerics, actually. I mean,
yeah. No, I was gonna say non-existent clerics, really, and then but his hazards are good and his removal is good. That was what I was trying to say.
I don't think this team needs a cleric really, but
I mean his removal is fair and the hazards are good as well. But yeah, this team is all offense. I kind of give it a higher rating than I should have.
I like it
7.5.
And I like it even more. I think this team fits Muck's playstyle really well.
Yeah,
I think he's gonna win a lot of games with this team.
Like I think he can. I think I would not be surprised to see in a 10-game season he brings those first 6 mons to at least 5 games and probably wins most, if not all of them, on the backing of those 6 alone. Because that is like the most top-heavy draft I've ever seen. It is ridiculously top-heavy. I give him a 7.5 for it. Like I think that maybe is a little bit too high, but he's going to win games. It's just
and
he's a good
I
draft.
gave him an 8, too, because I just think the setup is really carrying this team.
Yeah,
I gave him a
definitely.
7.5.
It's probably the best offensive team. Maybe not the most well-rounded, but the best offensive team in terms of offensive pressure.
Yeah, and Cowie gave him a 7.5 too, so that averages to 7.625.
And that's it.
All right, that is it.
Yeah.
So rankings, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, okay,
go-
so Drek's gonna
I'm
be
joking.
off.
So with adjusted rankings, do we know what we're looking at?
I don't. Drek's gonna be probably
Because
last,
I
but
had
and then I
Drek
think
down at like
Omega
a 5.
or Gilly's also moving down a little bit, but
Yeah, Gilly's moving down.
anyway, the overall it's me for averages. Me, Josh, Byrne, Noob, Cowie, Bobert, Muck, Gilly, Omega, Peter, Jordan, and then Drek, Jack, and Franny, Reppy, and Shadows. So,
And with Drek and Gilly moving down more. Right?
well,
Yeah.
Gilly's gonna stay in the same spot, I think.
Gilly's still there. Drek
And then
was the main drop just
Drek
because
will
we
probably
noticed
be
like
below
the huge
Franny,
holes.
my guess. So.
Like
Yeah, I think he's bottom 3
for
now.
his sake, I hope he notices the no ground, and the poison.
Yeah.
No ground and poison, but we'll see.
All right, so that'll do it for us. Thanks for listening, guys.
See ya.
Yeah.